Hi, and welcome to Danny After Dark. If you're new here, make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss a notification or a new episode. Tonight is the weekly True Crime and Chill. Mr. Beckham should be joining us. And if you're wondering, yes, there is a candle fiasco. He doesn't know which one to light, as always. So when he arrives, fashionably late, we'll deal with that as it comes. But anyways, happy Friday, everybody. I hope everybody has had a fantastic week. Before we dive into the cases for this week that we'll be covering, just a few updates. If you missed the Mortal Musings podcast that came on the show on Monday, go back and check it out. Megan and Neil were amazing and so much fun to have on. And their podcast is honestly one of my favorites. It has become one of my favorites, hands down. So one, watch the episode if you missed it, and two, subscribe to their podcast if you're not already. So, Beckham, you were not in the green room. Jesus Christ. So anyways, tune into that this coming week. So on Tuesday, Zach Kopp, author, will be back on Danny After Dark. He was on, oh gosh, what has it been now? Like a month or two ago? I don't know. Time has been flying by, honestly. But he was recently on and he is back. And he just put out a brand new book. So he'll be on Tuesday evening for that. And I'm really excited to talk about this book. There are some really cool things that are going to be discussed. If you saw the thumbnail and you have already looked up the book, kind of what it will be about, then you have a good idea. But if you haven't, I will keep you in suspense until then. So tune in next Tuesday for that, for Zach Kopp. So before we dive into the cases, let's see who's here. Hi, Tony Stewart. Welcome. We need Danny to buy supper for all of us. No, hun. No. Well, look who decided to come.
Hey, am I live?
Yeah.
Oh, hey, what's going on?
Sakes.
No, I didn't see you there.
Oh, well, I mean, yeah. Well, thank you for giving us your time and joining us. How are you tonight, Beckham?
Oh man, what a day! It was a long day. Long day.
Yeah. And it was, okay, to be fair, it was a long week. And we had
Fighting
Monday off.
crime all over the place.
God. Yeah. So I hear you. Long day, but we are here nonetheless. Tony Stewart thinks I should buy supper for everybody in the chat.
Let me finish.
I thought you were done. Go ahead.
No, with the whole fighting crime all day, like the United States of America has a new FBI director today, as of today. And that's going to affect a lot of things. Oh man, it's crazy. And
I've researched the new FBI director,
and it's going to touch on a case we talk about here on a regular. So, yeah, man, there's been a lot of movement within government all week, especially today, law enforcement side of it. Lots of things happening. So, and it's going to be for the good.
I mean, yeah, I actually spent some time today researching the new guy in charge, and we'll agree to disagree, Beckham. I'll leave it at that. Anywho, Tony Stewart, welcome. The cats agree. Hey, Capone. Yeah, there is, how many cats in here? Leia, Loki, Luke was in here too, but anyway. So you'll see them around. Renee, hello. Room looks different. Yes, I got 2 new bookshelves or bookcases, and yeah, kind of revamping things, moved to the cat tower there, and the cats actually like it much better there, which is interesting. So yeah, still getting used to kind of organizing things, but thank you for noticing. David Ellis, hello. I see 2 cats now. Yeah. Let's see. one would call it, a background, just room decor, but yeah, I guess I did. Yeah, it has been freezing where I
Thank you, Richard.
freezing.
How many Tonys do we have? Who's the real Tony?
The real Tony. I want to know what happened to the better Paul. We haven't seen him in a while. I hope
I don't know.
okay.
I don't know if you've seen him. Did you see him like through the month of December?
I don't think so. It's been a bit. Yeah. Look at Capone. First full week in a new job. That is awesome, Capone. How you obviously don't dox yourself and say what you do.
Like I'm the better Tony.
How was it? How was it? Good? I mean, you said good week, but how is the job itself? You liking it? Kind of in between, kind of so. Let us know. Hi, Karen. Sending love from Australia. Thank you. Good to see you.
Well, hello, mate.
Renee saying, oh God. Karen, I apologize. Renee, it's a good day. I watched this, Tony Stewart, Menendez brothers prosecutor talking about them today. Yeah, I just feel like all the momentum that it had, it kind of fizzled, but we'll see.
What about the sales of the Milli Vanilli music? Have they fizzled?
I'm sure it's still good. Yeah, all it takes is it's amazing how one thing will show us. Okay, I didn't watch the show, but I know, I'm like the only one who didn't watch it. Oh God, what was that show?
I didn't watch it either.
Was it Stranger Things? Was it Stranger Things that had that 80s song?
Oh, they did a whole.
Running up the hill. It's
in the 80s. It's good in the 80s. Yeah, so it had all
that song exploded because of that show. I didn't like that. I know. I tend to not watch a lot of TV and stuff. Richard, hello, hun. Hope you're doing good. It was worth the wait. That candle is fire, literally.
Literally right here. See it.
Hey, Tony L. Hey, K-Dog, it was a good day. Didn't have to use his hey. Okay, then I suppose. Capone,
save your rounds.
Capone says the job was awesome. Same company, but I'm on the corporate training now. That is awesome, Capone. Congratulations. 80s ruled. I was just a kid in the 80s, but yes, it did. Absolutely. David Ellis, Canadian hockey fans. Yeah. I heard. I didn't watch because sports, but I heard. So before we jump in, I know I've said that like 5 times already. So you can't really see it. So I'll lean in. So y'all know I dance, and one of the pieces last season with the company I choreographed. So the kind of tradition where the choreographer gives gifts to the dancers. It's all adult members, by the way. And then the dancers give a gift, like a thank you gift to the choreographer, just something small. So one of the things that my dancers got me, which is, oh my God, I'm in love with, I'm actually wearing them tonight. Beckham, I'm going to boot you for a second. They are, talk about my dancers, like knowing me inside and out. So they're cat earrings, but they're cat earrings where the cat is like holding a little knife in its mouth. I think it's so cute. So cute. So I just kind of was feeling that vibe today and wanted to wear them. So yeah. Beckham, that candle just dimmed so much. You are in like close to dark right now. Okay, it was your computer light. There you go. Jeez. Hey, Beers.
No, what's up, Beers?
Sport. So, oh man, there's a lot to do, a lot to cover. Of course, there's Karen Reed. We're going to save that till closer to the end for those of you who are like, Danny, oh my God, just because we're not from New England, we don't want to hear Karen Reed. But so we're going to.
Do we have a special guest? Do we have a special guest lined up for tonight or anything?
Like who?
You talked about Karen Reed. I don't know.
If I could get her on this, please. She
does a really good interview.
Yes, she does.
Maybe she was coached by Jackson or your boy Yannetti.
Oh, Yannetti.
But she did a good interview.
Yeah, absolutely. We will touch upon that. Let's start first with I don't even know. I was talking about it with a coworker earlier today, and we're just like, It's like Ted Bundy 2.0. The world has gone mad. Luigi Mangione. So 2 things with him. He was at Beckham's heart is already pitter pattering. I can tell. Beckham, I can tell.
What did you call? What did I call him last time? Ravioli? I don't know. What was his nickname? Linguini. That's what it was. I like calling him Linguini.
Yeah,
he's like,
sure.
He's like 5. He's like a little dude. So he just, hey, what's up, little man?
based on his fan following. Yeah. So 2 things with him. He was in court today. We will get to that in a second. But before that, this news is several days old, maybe almost a week at this point, but we didn't talk about it last week, and I really feel it should be talked about now. So Brian Thompson, as we know, was the individual who was murdered allegedly by Luigi Mangione, and Luigi has made his first public comments since being arrested and charged with Brian's murder. So Luigi released a statement on a new website dedicated to his defense. I did go to the website and browsed around because I wanted to get a feel for it just so I knew kind of what I was talking about. There's a lot of information on that website. There's a lot there. So whether you are, I know there's a lot of pro Luigi Mangione people, whether you are pro him or not, in the end, it does have a lot of information on the case from the defense point of view. And I want to make that very clear, from the defense point of view. So Luigi's statement says, quote, "I'm overwhelmed by and grateful for everyone who has written me to share their stories and express their support. Powerfully, this support has transcended political, racial, and even class divisions, and mail has flooded MDC from across the country and around the globe. While it is impossible for me to reply to most letters, please know that I read every one that I receive. Thank you again to everyone who took time to write. I look forward to hearing more in the future." End quote. So Luigi's defense team said that they created this website, quote, "due to the extraordinary volume of inquiries and outpouring of support," end quote. So their goal with the website is to, quote, "provide answers to frequently asked questions, accurate information about his cases, and dispel misinformation. The intent is to share factual information regarding the unprecedented multiple prosecutions against him," end quote. So the website does include tabs for case updates, the bios of his attorneys, statements, facts, contact information, and even a donation page where you can donate to Luigi's defense fund. I do find it kind of interesting that he is from a very wealthy family. So does he need the funds for it's kind of like I will not be donating because that's not my thing for that. But nonetheless, I did check this afternoon. Their goal is $1 million. Again, as of this afternoon, it has raised $522,292. That's a lot of freaking money. That's a lot of freaking money. Before we get into his court appearance today, Beckham, any questions or not any questions or comments about his website?
Right off the bat, when he was transferred from when there was that transfer to New York, it's like they played him up. They made him look like a villain from like Batman or something. The way they how they had him transferred from the van into the court, right? Or to the right. So it's like it was already theatrics, man. It made it look like a movie. I think it gave him more popularity. He's being housed in the same jail as P. Diddy and somebody else. So there's just all this. It became a real big show, and it gained momentum. He's got a lot of fans, whether it be male or female, and people that apparently, based on the amount of money that he's raised, believe in the cause, which is in today's times, the way everything is today, social media, TV, how everything, the coverage of everything is it's just really illuminates, it just really bright, right? It's a big time production. So I'm not surprised by the money, actually. And there's just a younger generation that's really about promoting whatever you can promote. and build whatever you can build. And it's almost like I said, like they're on his side based on the amount of money he's raised. Um, Real quick, just touching on Karen Reed. I know we'll get to her in a minute. They talked about her in the interview about how much it's cost her in her trial, right? So it was just like, wow, she didn't know how to answer it, probably because there's no money there. There's no money left. She could really use this money, you know.
No kidding.
So I get it, and I mean, like I said, he's got a huge following, man. He's got a generational, a generation. You could literally say that he has a generation behind him, and it's showing right now. So,
Yeah.
what can you say? I mean, what are you going to say?
It's interesting. It's very,
It's really,
very
yeah, it is very interesting. But at the same time, like I said, they put him out there like this super villain in a movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, Capone says he is a Batman villain, the real life Joaquin Phoenix Joker. Look at Tony Stewart. Finally saw a picture of Karen Reed on the internet this week. Never seen her before.
Oh wow!
Tony.
Go look at the interview. She talks.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, Renee is spot on. Women donated about $100,000 to Wade Wilson.
See, that's crazy. But yeah, there you go.
I mean, I think both are in different ways, but one at least would argue that Wade Wilson doesn't have the financial backing that Luigi has.
Linguini has like a whole generation, I guess, behind him. That's why I'm like.
Mm-hmm. So, as I mentioned, Luigi Mangione was in court today, and he was dressed very. It kind of gave me Menendez brothers kind of vibes in regards to like being very like almost like a preppy college studious look. And he did wear a very noticeable bulletproof vest. He was also in shackles, and his attorneys wanted them removed, but the judge denied that, stating it was for, quote, security reasons, end quote. So one of the lawyers argued in court that there are very serious issues with how police in Altoona, Pennsylvania obtained evidence from Luigi Mangione with the small amount of discovery that they've received so far. Quote, the limited amount will require more time to prepare. Prosecutors have said that, quote, a robust amount, end quote, of evidence has already been turned over to the defense. This includes police body camera, NYPD surveillance footage, DNA and ballistic testing results, the fingerprints recovered from the near scene shooting of Brian Thompson. They've also turned over cell phone data and phone records, with more that will be being turned over to the defense in the next few weeks. The quote limited end quote information the defense has received so far, such as a body worn camera from when Luigi was taken into Pennsylvania custody, indicates that her client's quote constitutional rights were violated, end quote. The defense is also arguing that this was, and I do agree with this, that it was shocking to see the NYPD's chief of detectives and New York City Mayor Eric Adams give an interview in a documentary that aired this week, talking about the police paperwork that they've not received until now, and hearing an actor play Luigi Oni reading from a journal that they say is Luigi's. And the defense has actually not even received that yet from the prosecution. So they're watching this documentary, hearing from detectives that worked it, and actors reading from his journal, but the defense hasn't even gotten it yet from the prosecution in the state. So they say, quote, it's outrageous that they have time to go and prejudice Mr. Mangione's ability to receive a fair trial and go out and make these statements, but not give this to us, end quote. The judge set an April 9th deadline for all defense motions with a response from prosecutors that will be by May 14th. The judge expects to have rulings on all of these issues by June 26th. And as of right now, there has not been a date set for the trial to begin. Beckham, what do you think about this, especially about the documentary and all this information being put out that the defense hasn't even gotten yet?
Well, again, why is he wearing a bulletproof vest? And the documentary, I just think that it's, I mean, it's almost like more open shut, but they're just trying to, I don't know. I just feel like there's just people advocating for this to be a lot more of a show.
Oh, 100%.
So that's what we're gonna get, and then just enjoy the ride.
Mm.
Enjoy the ride. I mean, it's we'll see. Going back to what's out there as far as evidence, remember the bullet casings were written on. The pictures didn't really look like him, but I don't know. Remember how we thought?
You
Did the
thought it was a
pictures kind of,
woman.
yeah, yeah, there was almost like two different pictures, two different people in the pictures, and I don't know, man. It's gonna be an interesting case, I believe, once it gets to the court, and then, but we're gonna get all of it from all angles: TV, productions, shows,
Oh my God.
interviews. He's already wearing he wore a bulletproof. I mean, seriously, like he's being better protected than political figures.
Yeah, but and then like the shackles where the judge is
Yeah,
saying for secure. And I'm not saying I'm
I
not
mean, come
pro
on, dude.
Luigi or what he did, but the reality
Right.
of him sitting in a courtroom, he's not. Come on, come on.
Run with it, Danny.
Well,
Just
no,
run with
but
it.
it kind
I,
of this
I don't know what
case.
to tell you.
I'm not expecting you to have the answers.
No, I'm just saying, like, look, and if he's got a big, female following, have them line up outside, have
Oh,
them and get
you know
interviewed,
that will happen at
have them,
trial.
yeah, like, why not
Ted
sell it?
Bundy 2.0, Richard Ramirez 2.0.
The media loves it. They love it. They want to talk about it.
Mhm.
It's their type of work that they love, and they're gonna do it. And then you got the TV people wanting to do Netflix shows, Peacock shows, whatever, Amazon Prime shows. Yeah, they're all. I guarantee you, they're fighting for their contract.
Oh, there's money to be made.
There's that. Yeah, I'm telling you, they are.
Big money to be made.
Big money to be made. Exactly. So just ride it out and enjoy it.
I will say, in regards to Luigi Mangione's defense, the mayor of New York, when he gave that press conference speech right after Luigi was captured, and basically, I'm forgetting the exact quote because it's been so long since I've watched it, but it was something to the offense of something to the sense of like that we found the man who's guilty of this. But the mayor making those statements, again, our court of law is innocent until proven guilty. Granted, we all saw the footage and one could argue, but it's so obvious. It doesn't matter because now the mayor making that statement that he's guilty, you can't, because now you've compromised potential jurors in a jury pool. It's kind of on a lesser scale of
Yeah.
Richard Nixon with Manson, in my opinion. You got to be careful with those types of statements because those could come and bite you in the ass. And let's say Luigi is found guilty. That's a good way to try to appeal.
Yeah.
Because of what one person made a statement for.
He gets found guilty, right? And then he gets an appeal and gets, well, technically it was already said and this and that, and then he walks.
Yeah. So it's
That
like
would be that and you get that at the end, and then before all of that was the whole production, and everybody got paid off of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, you're right with that. Let's see, a bunch of you guys, but have a lot to say about this in the chat. I've been seeing the comments go by. Let's get to it. Don't worry. Let's see, Tony Stewart, woman's case dismissed against P. Diddy and partner can't think of his name. David Ellis at my local Barnes and Noble. Employees now curate the store based on what we sell. That's cool. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I don't know where James Watson is. Let's see. Oh, that we already had. I would rather search. Oh, thank you, Tony. All right. Now to the Luigi comments. He's got a maxed out commissary with all the cash he's getting. Oh, yeah. Please. He wants for nothing right now in prison. He has it better than Puff Daddy, I'll tell you that. David Ellis, new LA DA, denied the Menendez brothers' new trial, but said he'd consider parole. Yeah, that momentum's done. I doubt they're going to get out. Me personally, I hope Luigi gets prison. Mario can come visit there. Oh, Tony Stewart, with jokes like that, you must be hanging around
But
Beckham.
with all, speaking of Linguini real quick, but with all the production factor and the fun and how, we'll talk about it and have laughs about it and joke, there was a murder committed, and I know how you feel about that. Like, you do the crime, do the time, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, it would be wild, and it pretty much looks like a open shut type of case. But then again, there's some of the evidence is sketchy. I mean, I don't, we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But
Mm-hmm.
it'll be interesting to see how it all turns out. The case, how both sides strategize and come at the case. It'll
This
be
will be
interesting.
a very media-based trial.
Yeah, right.
Everything in that courtroom, yeah, there's a man's life on the line, Luigi Mangione, in regards to will he serve prison time? Will he be found guilty? And all of that. But this is going to be a very media-driven
Yep.
case, like big time. I agree with you, Beckham, on that 100%. Capone, I think there's a chance that this champagne communist POS is just covering for the real killer in a bid to muddy the waters. I've not heard that theory before, Capone. David Ellis, remember the Arkansas, West Memphis 3. They were paroled but not exonerated. They had to take an Alfred plea, so a bit different, but yeah. Chris James, hello, welcome. Let's see. I hope Amazon Prime or HBO don't come and offer Deania a big contract. I didn't even read the whole comment until I was reading this right now. I thought you were talking about Amazon Prime and HBO doing something about Luigi Mangione. No, I ain't going anywhere. No, for all the bashing I do of Netflix, I feel like no one would want to go touch me because of that. Tony Stewart, these days you never know about guilty or innocent verdicts. Absolutely. Yeah, Beckham's saying open and shut, and I agree with like a lot of what we have, but at the same, you never know. And I feel like the subject, yes, somebody was murdered, and that's 100% wrong. The subject around why it happened, I think it's gonna be that's gonna be a big time play factor.
What's up, Chris James? Yeah, just like I said, just enjoy what it's going to be.
Mm-hmm. Capone, the suspect's not matching the whole business. Danny, remember everyone talked about how he didn't look like the picture of the killer.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Saying.
Yeah, it looked like two different completely people. So a lot of the stuff, the facial what do you call it? The faces didn't match, the body, shoulder, everything just didn't match. Even the shooter didn't match. The video of the shooting, the actual shooting just didn't match the right composite of one of the pictures that were the body frame. I don't know. It was, and like I said, they're gonna have to bring experts in. Make sure you pay an expert. You let the other side know you paid the expert.
Beckham,
sorry, I had to throw that in.
You were so cheeky. But okay, Beckham, did you see it was on Instagram? So I know Beckham's not on Instagram, but I'm sure it floated around Facebook too. There was these like comparison photos from the crime scene and then ones of Luigi, and it was a zoom in of his brows. And some of the pictures looked very different. And it was like, if the brows don't fit, you must have quit.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I saw those. Yeah. So again, are you gonna get? Is there like photograph experts out there? What are you gonna get? Like
study brows,
Instagram, like I don't know,
internet sleuths.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
God, let's see. Tay Dog, law enforcement tests our legal rights all the time. Minnesota just declared your car a public space. Sorry, I can't say it. Public place. Really? That's crazy.
You can hang out in your car. Why wouldn't it be?
No, but for others.
Why wouldn't it be?
I don't know. I want to read more about that. I need to know more about this.
Have you never taken an Uber where it's been like a discoteca inside the car?
No.
Have you? God. Yes. Yeah. Dude, I took one.
Was it
I
in
took.
Vegas?
No, I was in Mexico, but still, it was like got in. We got it. It was pretty big. It was pretty bad. It was a pretty big back seat. I don't even know what kind of car it was. It was at night. Um, and the guy had a strobe light in there. He had the lights. It was like he had the techno going in there. Hey man, we were feeling good, and it was a good ride home.
I'm sure.
I'm just saying.
I don't know. I don't know. Let's see, Capone. So I think Luigi let himself get caught for this to let the real killer go free, and he's going to have a solid alibi. Interesting theory, Capone. Interesting. I'll give you that. I'll give you that. Let's see. Yeah, Tony agrees with you, K-Dog. Look at the size of that. Danny After Dark tumbler. Available on the merch store. It has the saying on the back. This thing is amazing. It keeps liquids so cold. So cold. So check it out. Check it out. It's awesome. Now, I'm not just saying that because it's actually really, really awesome. So we will keep y'all posted on Luigi Mangione. Again, defense has
It's interesting though. It's gonna be people are gonna be following it. It's interesting to see what's gonna happen.
We're gonna be following it.
Oh yeah, it's a deal.
Yeah.
Hey, let's get him to wear a bulletproof vest. I just think that's funny. I'm sorry.
It was
like you're gonna have a sniper somewhere just sitting around.
Like, I get the reasoning, but if you're gonna do that for him, like there are others that I think
more dangerous guys. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It was very much a show for the public and the media, in my opinion.
And that's what it's gonna be.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, moving on to the next one. So Brian Kohberger. So I know, Beckham, I'm sure you have a lot to say about this. On Thursday, an Idaho judge denied several defense motions filed by Kohberger's defense attorneys to suppress key DNA and other evidence. This will allow for cell phone and email records, surveillance footage, Kohberger's past Amazon purchases, and DNA evidence to be used in trial. The judge is also allowing DNA evidence found on the button of a knife sheath. And as we know, that is very central to this case. So the judge found that there was no constitutional violations as Kohberger's allegedly, quote, exposes DNA to the public by leaving it on the sheath, thus forfeiting any reasonable expectation of privacy in the DNA left behind, end quote. The judge also went on to say, quote, there is no reasonable expectation of privacy in DNA found at a crime scene, which is subsequently analyzed to identify an unknown suspect, end quote. The judge also stated that the investigators were justified in searching through trash outside of Kohberger's parents' home after they zeroed in on him. And we all know about what happens when you take, your trash out to the curb, and now it's out there in the public, so to speak, so anybody, including law enforcement, can get it. And the judge also said, quote, by throwing away items of trash containing his DNA, the defendant cannot object to testing of that DNA, end quote. So the defense had also asked the judge to dismiss the use of digital evidence investigators collected from AT&T, Google, Apple, Amazon, and a USB drive. They're stating that this violated Kohberger's Fourth Amendment rights. The judge ruled that the evidence was lawfully obtained through search warrants, and because Kohberger had relinquished any privacy interests in the subpoenaed records due to a third-party doctrine. So Kohberger's trial is scheduled to start August 11th. All right, Beckham, go ahead.
I mean, well, the crazy thing here is, and there's a lot of crazy theories going around. Of course, now since last time, I kind of have switched my direction and how I feel about it. With the his actual DNA found on the knife sheath, where it was actually located under one of the bodies of the deceased, right? So I've always heard it was found next to the crime scene, but I never really put the word next in it was never put to me in my own thought the context of what next meant. Like, I mean, I didn't know if it was like in the hallway, or like, I'm just laying around somewhere outside, you know. But it was literally right there, right underneath the body of one of the deceased. So that just really kind of, I mean, that's, come on, I don't know what else to say. It's right there, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
how would your DNA get on the actual crime scene? So, or, right there. So, again, the twist, what last week was when they found when the defense said there was two other male, DNA found at the crime scene. What I did not know, and this is what I found out this week, and I told you about it, is
Mm-hmm.
that Kohlberger was going for his doctorate in criminal justice and like forensics, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the schooling that he was attending had a very prestigious forensics program, to where they had, I don't know if anybody in the chat knows this, they had their own, the department has their own house on campus where you can pretty much design a crime scene however you want to do it, so that you can practice, you know, doing the evidence gathering and doing all the procedural stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like now it's like really starting, the wheels turning for me now, because now it's like, oh, so he had probably, thought of this before. He could have came up with a crime scene and practiced himself, and just put himself in different situations, right? I mean, if you're going to think that way. So it was really, really like shocking for me to find that out this week. I did not know. I was not aware of that, and I don't think a lot of people know that either.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Yeah, Tony says good
yeah,
info
you
back
did
on.
not know that. You didn't know that either. So,
Nope.
I did listen to a ex profiler. I don't know, I don't know if she was at the state level or the government level this week too. Um, she says, because I heard the theory. The theory was, well, okay, well, if he had experience setting up a crime scene, and going through that whole the process of all that, right, putting the evidence together, the whole process, the course. He's in the doctorate level, so he's already in the highest peak of you can go, right, to get your
Education wise,
doctorate,
yeah.
and it's not easy by any means. But anyway, um, he's at that level. Then how would you explain the DNA of the two other males? Was he just going around his friends, hey, let me scratch you, and or like make you bleed, or or like did he have access to DNA, or something like that, right, with the program, with the college program? So the profiler and I was like, no, that's too crazy. He didn't do that. And then it's just, let's just wait for them to test the DNA to come forward and see if there's any matches, right, or if any matches come from it. I don't, like I told you, I'm not sure if they have or have not tested it against or with the FBI's COBOL system. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
we don't know that yet. If they have, they're keeping it sealed, and they haven't, I'm pretty sure they'll go through that process, and they'll have it for the trial. So
Yeah.
that's still up in the air, right? So, um, but to me, the fact that the access, I guess, of educational props, I guess you could say, to go along, and what he had access to, really got me thinking. Now that his own DNA was there, literally on literally ground zero of the crime scene, um, and now that he had what kind of access he had, for for as at the school with the crime scene stuff, like, man, it's just really damaging. And I think it was a really damaging blow to the defense this week on his
Mm-hmm.
case. But we'll have to see and wait what the other two males DNA, what that means, and what kind of matches come from that. So yeah, a damaging blow to him and his defense case this week.
Mm-hmm.
Very damaging.
Yeah. So going off of what you said, Beckham, and I do see you guys' comments in the chat, and we'll definitely get to that. Hey, Undercover Mermaid, welcome. So one of the things when I was talking to Beckham about this is, and he was telling me this, again, I didn't know it.
Yeah.
anytime you go to, at the college level, you use like like a school lab or something, or even like a basic computer lab, there's a sign in. You always have to sign in,
Yeah.
sign out type of thing. So if he did, I was saying to Beckham, if he did have access to a home where he could, on the college PhD education level, practice this, I'm sure they had some type of log of who was using the space and when. So I was saying to Beckham, what I would like to know, and again, not that we'll get this information anytime soon, it must be something, if it exists, that would come out at trial, is a log of that. Did he consistently use that? Or did he not? But maybe a month before the murders, all of a sudden he was there 5 nights a week or something, like, you know what I mean? Something that would show that he was using that. In regards to the knife sheet, you can only, I hate to say practice. I hate to say that because it just
Well,
sounds
that's what I
so,
was trying to find the right wording, how to
yeah.
put it. But how else can you put it? Now,
Yeah, because
remember, he
you
has
have
a
to
site.
expect the unexpected. A victim's
Right,
going to fight back in ways you might not know, and
right, exactly. Yeah.
you can only think you can prepare and control the scene in so
Well,
many
it's just like
ways.
anything. You can go to the gun range. It's just muscle. It's gonna have to be muscle memory or anything like that. You go into the gun range. You're at a still and you're just taking shots at a target. What
Mhm,
happens when you have to pull it in real life?
mhm.
That human pressure, right? That pressure, added
Yeah,
pressure, all that kind of goes into effect, right? So it's just muscle memory or whatever. That's how you get better at something. But yeah, so it's going to be interesting, Danny, with the what the prosecution does if they really go after his career in education, because he's got an associate's degree in psychology, which got him, when he got to the college part of it. Then he went towards the criminal side and got his master's, and then was like I said, a PhD student, I believe, at Washington State University. So, and their criminology program, and pretty, like I said, if they had an access to a house and this whole thing where you could like design the crime scene and props and all, I mean, that's pretty elaborate, if you ask
mhm,
me. So, definitely had a pretty good, criminology program that he was part of.
yeah. And he studied under Catherine Ramsland, which is
That's right. I remember
huge.
yeah, you remember you said something about that.
And she hasn't spoken a word, which, I mean, no one
Oh
was expecting
God.
her to. I'm sure she has a gag
Right.
order
Yeah.
or that, but she is so experienced with this. I mean, she wrote the book with BTK. She was in correspondence with BTK. And I know there's been a lot of people trying to tie Brian Koberger to Dennis Rader, the BTK serial killer. But it's just one of those, out of every psychology professor to study under, he studied under Catherine Ramsland, who's like one of the best of the best. So,
So they're gonna have to. I can see them building a profile throughout through the case, saying this
mhm.
is where he was here. This is what he studied here. This is what he had access to. This is what they're pretty much. I think they want to paint that picture of how a monster was created,
Or how a
which will be
monster
really
slid under the
interesting.
radar.
Which will be really interesting because how was the mind, are you going to go that route? How was the mind affected by all this education and access to information and access to basically the diaphragm of your own murder? I'm sorry, your diagram of your own murder. Wrong
Like the
word.
diaphragm?
The
What?
diagram of your own sorry, your diagram of your own murder.
This just took a turn. I beg to differ. I think he
Are
could
they
have
going
been
to just go with
someone
the
who'd been
evidence?
sliding under the radar. Like, this could have been in his mind as like a long-term goal, and like, slide under the radar, make it your education, learn from the best of the best, get access to things like, I don't know. It's going to be, yeah, like, it's going to be attacked at every level at trial. We're going to hear his whole background, everything.
That's what I'm saying, because now remember, you got to remember there's two other people's DNA there. So how are you going to
Mhm.
build that in with his? Was he
Fresh.
framed? Did he try to frame somebody like you know what I mean? Rather than going,
Mhm.
hey, this is how the monster was created, and this is how it was, fall. Here's the fall. Here's the diagram following of his
Not the
creation.
diaphragm. Yeah, I'm gonna have a lot of messages about that one tonight, I'm pretty sure. Beckham said what? Let's see. Your all's comments. Tony Stewart, good old Brian. Renee says he's looking tired. K-Dog, he's cooked. Can't explain away the DNA. I bet he pleads if they
Ooh, that would be a shock.
That would be a shock. I don't think he'll plead. But,
oh, and another thing, real quick. Another thing was when
Yeah.
he, after he was arrested and brought in for questioning, he asked if they had any suspects. Apparently, that's a big, you know,
red
why would
flag.
he? Yeah, why would he do that? I mean, the profiler of the show who I watched this week was kind of said it really wasn't that big of a deal, but people are making it out to be. But we'll see.
Well, you hear that all the time of people who committed the crimes trying to involve themselves in the case.
Yeah,
so,
as far as everything,
know.
as far as this case goes, she said it wasn't too surprising because of his background and things like that. That's why. So I was like, okay, I'll kind of leave that alone and kind of go towards the other stuff.
Listen to the experts, Beckham.
I'm trying.
Then why aren't you listening to me?
I should have. I was like, well, the whole next, they should have put it better. They should have literally said, you know, his DNA was found underneath the body, not next to the crime scene or next. That could be anywhere. Next could be anywhere. He could have left it by the toilet. He could have taken a leak and put the knife down. Let me just use the restroom real quick. So I don't know.
If you only listened to me, you would have been on this much earlier. But yeah,
probably
can't teach an old dog new tricks. Apparently, Capone says, "Why would a guy who got a degree in being a mastermind criminal leave his DNA behind?"
Again, he just.
I don't think he meant to. I think it fell. I think that was not purposeful. Okay, Chris James. That's what he's agreeing with you. Trash pulls are a big thing around here for search warrants. Yeah, it's everywhere.
They just go through the trash. Hey guys, let's go see what we can find today.
Well, you see it too when people when you're being or somebody's being followed by law enforcement because they're trying to get that DNA, and you could be at a Dunks or a Starbucks and you toss that coffee cup. The second you turn, they're going to get that because it's publicly discarded. Kind of scary for Brian. Yeah, I know I showed this earlier, but yeah, Tony Stewart said good information on the school having that house. He forgot to practice the scenario, I guess. Yeah, an actual victim fighting back.
Different in real life, man. You can practice it over and over till real life happens.
If he did it, he would have been wearing gloves. Let's be real. I agree that he would have been wearing gloves. I think he probably, if he's guilty of this, again, innocent until proven guilty, I think he took a lot of preparation and planning for what he did, but there's only so much you can plan and prepare for. Why these four? What did he pick these for? There's a lot of theories to that.
That'll have to wait for the story to unveil.
Yeah.
I don't. It was just a. I mean, it was a regular college house, man. I mean, you've been around college houses, fraternity houses. It's kind of like people come and go. They'll hang out for a little bit, eat some fast food, talk, hang out, drink a little bit, leave, and they just have. It's just a cycle,
Yeah.
A lot of times.
I don't think he targeted 4. I think he targeted 1 and 4 were killed because of that. Let's excuse you. K-Dog, he put the knife in the sheath before he left home and clasped it shut, then put on gloves. He wasn't planning on the sheath being left behind. 100% K-Dog, 100%. Capone agrees he could see that. I said hi earlier, but hi, Tish. Welcome. Very interesting, Beckham, building the story.
Thank you,
Brian Christopher. Yeah, that was
BTK.
That's the only thing. Like, come on. But no, you're right. That when this the news broke, everybody was like, "See, BTK." If he's a criminal justice major, that's a reasonable question to ask. Perfect planning prevents piss poor performance. But again, like, you can
It
only
takes,
plan so
yeah,
much.
you're right. I mean, you're right, Danny. How many house setups did he do? I don't.
There has to be a log. There
That
has to be.
now I'm curious about that. How many house setups did he do? And did he like, hey, call up a classmate or two, be like, hey, I want to run this one by you. Let's set this one up.
Well, but that's an
I
interesting
don't know
point.
how it works, but I mean, it's more of a concentration. It's that program he was in. It's more of a concentration on the forensic side. So maybe it's just normal. They're like, hey, like maybe twice a semester, they might do a crime scene and go with it. You know what I mean? Like a different crime scene, maybe a couple times a semester. But I don't know. Maybe it's more than twice a semester.
But that makes an interesting point too, in regards to, how much collaboration he would have with other students or maybe
Sure.
other educators there. So when you were using these crime scene reconstruction
Props or whatever. Yeah,
for
everything.
the
Yeah,
class and for your
sure.
studies, was it with other people? Was it
Sure.
solo? If it was with other people, you'd
Dude, can you
like to
imagine those
think
other
they'd be
students just,
interviewed.
I 100%. Yeah, exactly.
How
That would,
was he?
now that would be something to watch. That would be interesting.
Yeah. He was a TA in the class. Hey, discerning light. Yeah, and a lot of his students did not care for him.
And
Did
he
not
was a
care for him,
TA. That's
especially
right.
females.
He was a TA in a class, right? I don't know what class he was a TA, but I don't. Was it a criminal justice class? One of the majors, maybe.
Oh my
Yeah,
god!
probably. It probably
I
was
would
one of the.
like. Yeah, I can't
It was
remember
probably
what
one of
the
the
class
core
name
classes,
was.
right underneath the master's program in the what do you call it, undergrad maybe, but the core, maybe the
Yeah,
core
that's
undergrad.
not
Yeah,
uncommon for being. Yeah,
right.
I had
S-
so many teachers assistants in college because that's what they do. It's part of their doctoral program is to
Yeah,
like the larger classes that were like
sure.
intro to psych was like 150 200 kids in the
Right,
class, and then you'd have the main class and you'd break off into TA led classes of like 25 and you had one teacher. That at least that's how it was where I went to school.
yeah.
Yes, for the crime class, thank you. K-Dog, the sheath is almost as good as gold as having the murder weapon. Yeah, I mean, we'll never get that murder weapon, but that's the next best thing. Hey, Carol. The knife sheath being under the body makes more sense why he left it behind. See, Carol pays attention. She knows.
Maybe
Carol,
it fell. Yeah, can you imagine if something, he got distracted, it fell and it slid or something. He didn't want to grab. He didn't want to like go for it because
I don't
more
think he
on.
knew. I don't
Oh
think he
man, I
knew.
don't. If he didn't, if he didn't think about it, leaving the crime scene without that thing coming off, like, come on. I
Well,
don't
you
know.
have
Maybe.
four
I
victims
guess I could.
fighting
Yeah,
back, and you want to get
yeah,
in and out.
yeah. That's true. Yeah, I guess that's possible. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Discerning. He is suspected to have an account on Reddit that was talking about the crime at the house. I don't ever go on
Mm,
Reddit,
I don't
but
either.
interesting. I've gone.
I go for it on like for Star Wars stuff, but that's it.
Of course you do. Of course you do. I'm just kidding. Everybody's into Star Wars, so I don't want to. Tony Stewart, Danny, when Beckham was talking about Brian being maybe guilty, you had that grin on your face. Nice cover. All right. I'll go with you on that. So, yeah, like Beckham said, this was a big blow to the defense. They're
Huge
doing their
blow.
job trying to get everything excluded and tossed because what they have against Brian Koberger,
It just seems like the experts are like, whoa, like slow your brakes, calm down, everybody. We still got two people's DNA. We don't know yet. They're a lot of these professionals that are retired and talking about it, whatever. They're like, hey, pump the brakes. We have two other people's DNA, so hold on a second. So that's kind of where I'm at too. But for me, the hit of the week was this case to me personally, and the fact of what kind of access he had with the house and this building of the crime scene. So that was really the hit for me of the week.
Yeah, and it was one of my exciting moments to hear Beckham ring me up and say, "Yeah, I think Brian Kohberger's guilty." I'm like, wow.
But you have to wait for the other evidence too, though. You
Oh,
just
100%,
you can't just
100%.
because remember two things. What you're gonna say that either he was trying to pin it on somebody, he's being framed. Who else is potentially involved? That all that kind of stuff, right? So you have all these, and like I said, one of the I'll say it again. One of the professional retired profilers was what you think he was just going around scratching his friends and everything. I thought that was funny.
In this day and age, nothing would shock me.
I was like, that was
Let me
fun.
scratch you and just like clip
Yeah.
and save
Ooh,
that
hold on.
DNA.
Let me get. Hey, do you remember doing biology when you put the slides? Remember?
Yeah.
Yeah. He just scratched you with because why are you carrying slides in your back pocket? I forgot what all the little slide thingies where you would look on the microscope.
Yeah.
I forgot what they're called, but I just remember them.
Yeah. Well, like the show Dexter
biology or whatever,
had
biology. Yeah, but you took you had to take biology, so you remember
I remember doing that as early as like 7th grade, having to look under.
Well, you did it. Yeah, you did it at every stage. You did it in like 8th grade science, and then you did it again in high school, and then you did it again in college biology. You did it again. You had to do lab. You had the regular class, and then you had your lab. So.
Oh, I hated those classes. Hated those.
They were always cold because they had the frogs in there. They were always cold.
Well, the rooms had to be temperature controlled.
Yeah, right. Because yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So we will keep you guys posted on that because and for the record, I just want to also make sure we reiterate that I know there's a lot of people that are pro Brian Kohberger, thinking he's innocent, or very anti Brian Kohberger in regards to he did it, he's guilty, let's just get this trial, get it done with, get justice for the victims and the families, so on. There's a whole medium area in regards to reasonable doubt. And the elephant in the room that so many people have spoken about was the 2 roommates who survived. And I know there's a lot of questions about that. So this trial is going to be
just a lot now. There's a lot. There's, like I said, there's a lot. Like you said, the just a lot of the timeline doesn't make any sense. Again, the new DNA of the 2 potential people, and then this new information on Kohberger and the access he had to I guess educational props. I don't know how to word it.
Educational crime scene settings.
Yeah, however you want to call it.
Yeah, so Tony's innocent so far, but things can change. Yeah, I mean, again, and he's innocent until proven guilty, and he has to be guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. So we'll see. But again, the trial, we pull up that date one more time. It's set to start August 11th.
Right around football. It'll be interesting right around football time.
So basically, I'll be watching the trial and telling you how it goes because I know you will not miss sports.
Oh no, this one's going to be interesting. Now the question will be: will the Diddy trial be still going while this one starts?
Diddy's is supposed to start in May, though.
That's only 3 months. It's going to be an interesting summer going into the fall with these cases.
And speaking of cases, let's go to one that's going to be starting earlier, say April 1st. You like that transition? Karen Reed. Oh my goodness, there was a lot this week. Beckham is a little trigger happy today and has already kind of teased a little bit of what we'll be talking about. So shame on you, Beckham. But in court this Tuesday. Yeah. So I was actually messaging about this with Liz today. And because she's been a little bit behind on the case, and she was just like, what? And I'm like, So this Tuesday, there was supposed to be a full day of court, but that all changed when Judge Bev ended court for the day unexpectedly. Specifically, and this You can see this clip online, and I suggest you look it up because, yeah, I have a lot to say about it. So Judge Bev adjourned after saying new information presented by the prosecution caused her, quote, grave concern, end quote. This came after Special Prosecutor Hank Brennan argued in support of his new motion to exclude from the trial employees of ARCA LLC. ARCA, as a reminder, was the organization that was hired independently to testify in the first trial in regards to being accident reconstruction experts. According to Hank Brennan, ARCA sent a bill to Karen Reed's defense for $23,925. He said that invoice was included along with correspondence between the defense, the federal government, and that was so Boston, government.
That's how you should say it from now on.
I don't even know. It just
come on, darling. Do the Boston accent for me.
God, I don't know how that happened. Woo.
That's
the
funny.
Emails. God, the invoice was included again. Correspondence between the defense, federal government, and the ARCA witnesses who testified. Hank Brennan read from several examples of the correspondence. One of the ARCA witnesses was praising the defense for its questioning and an outline of questions and answers provided for direct examination. Hank Brennan said on Tuesday in court, quote, that's not trial, that's trial. Oh my God, I totally just messed up my whole thing. That's not trial by ambush. That's getting duped. So I don't know any of this, but I've tried a few cases. I've been around the federal court a little bit. I know how it works. Sometimes parties pick sides, creates an imbalance and unfairness, and then it allows the ability to one side to use ghosts and create illusions and shields to say something there's happening in federal investigations and this person. And then this happens. I don't care if the ARCA witnesses testified at trial. I don't care about their opinions, but I care that it's unfair, imbalanced, and hidden. In the Commonwealth, the defense is entitled to discovery, end quote. So after that is when Judge Bev called a recess. When she returned to the court, she said, quote, the Commonwealth just provided the court with information that causes me grave concern. The implications of that information.
Oh my God.
We're going to get to that. Beckham, I know. 1 second. The implication.
You're concerned about a bill, and you're not concerned about Proctor's inability to just do his job. But okay, never mind.
I know. Oh, I know. Me and Liz were having the same conversation earlier today. So, okay. The implications of that information may have profound effects on this defense and defense counsel.
Oh my God, dude, it's so jacked. It's so jacked, dude.
I know. So for that reason, I'm going to suspend today so that we will meet again to address these issues. All affected will be appropriately prepared, end quote. So earlier in Tuesday's hearings, attorneys originally were arguing for a series of motions, including several related to video evidence, in a request to add another attorney to Karen Reed's defense, who also represented a controversial blogger who frequently posts about the case. Turtle Boy. So, all right, let's pause for a second before we get into the next thing about Karen Reed. Judge Bev's speech. Beckham, 1, 2, 3, go.
Again, like what? Like, I could understand if this was a big mishap, but what? It's almost like Brennan and okay, I don't know whether to say okay, he's got a job. I said that last week. I said last week he's got a job to do. He's going to look for anything possible because there's not much he can actually get. But it's like throwing it, like instead of throwing, what's the saying? You're just throwing the darts at a board or something, or at the wall.
Throwing spaghetti on the wall.
Or throwing axes, like I've seen videos of you at a wall and just completely missing target. But anyway.
Wow, it's a shame he had to bounce tonight. I'll be carrying this one alone. You jerk.
Just fun.
You jerk.
But anyway, he has to like throw something and to he's got to throw it, Hail Mary. He needs a Hail Mary, right? And I mean, apparently, okay, somebody didn't. I mean, they paid the bill, but they just didn't tell anybody they paid the bill.
The
or how they?
defense says they did not pay
Oh,
this.
they did. Oh, that's right. They did
No,
not pay the bill,
they're
but
saying we
maybe
did
the
not pay
federal,
this.
maybe the government picked up the tab. I don't know. And that's where there's uncertain. There's an
Because this
uncertainty.
was supposed to be an impartial, hired by
Right.
like an
Yes.
independent third
So
party.
if
Why
you're
are you
supposed to,
sending the bill to Karen Reed's defense?
so right, and like there's a discrepancy, and it's just, I mean, it's over like a bill about forget about forget the evidence, forget about the case, forget about everything else. Let's just worry about a bill that's supposedly, for an expert expert witness. So, Brennan's going on this whole tirade about, there's, you got to get from to get to C, you got to go from A to B, and you got to connect all the dots. And if they're not connecting the dots, and we don't know they're not connecting the dots, then how are we going to know that they're really putting forth the effort to provide the right information so that it's a fair, everything's right and fair? That's what he's saying. And it's like, wait a minute, but look, what are you what are you talking about? You're having to cover up for an entire, you know, doctrine of error based, out of an investigation to the maximum level of incompetency for who you're working for. And it's just like, it was just big, and it was just like, wow. Like I was actually like laughing at it, but what else does he have? He's trying to discredit them. That's what he's basically trying to do with this minimal, I guess. But at the same time, I watched some lawyers talk about it, and they were like, "Hey, man, I mean, it is kind of it doesn't really, it's not a big deal, but it is a big deal, and you have to." So I'm like, "Oh, okay, well, I guess, then it's you gotta follow you gotta follow the rules. So make sure everything matches. I get it, just like you were supposed to in the investigation, the evidence gathering, and everything. But you would think, right? Let's just not talk about that. Let's not talk about that. Let's worry about a bill. But whatever.
But
So
it's
that's where it is. Yes.
yeah,
For
it
them,
was
the
more than
judge
just the
making
bill.
them.
It was the correspondence.
Well,
Alleged,
you know what I mean. That's what I mean. I'm just
right. No,
calling
no,
it the
no. I
bill.
know it, but it's okay. Y'all, look it up yourself after the show. Judge Bev's speech when she's like, "This is gravely concerning." Like she sounds like it took me back to like elementary school when a teacher is like so disappointed in your behavior, and I'm thinking, okay, one. If you're gravely concerned about this, why were you not gravely concerned last week when Hank Brennan was up there saying like, yeah, we destroyed video evidence. Yeah, no big deal. Yeah, we had
Oh
the
yeah, there
expert
you go.
fly on,
Right.
we
Yeah.
destroyed it. No big deal. It's from years ago. What's the big what? Like where was Judge Bev's being gravely
Yeah.
concerned that we find out that the lead
Yeah.
prosecutor is texting Lally, the lead prosecutor at the time of the first trial, basically implying, yeah, I've been watching this trial when you have an order not to do so. Why was Judge Bev, when that came out last week, not gravely
Right. Good
concerned?
point. Yeah, you're right. That's a
It's
great
just one
point.
of
From
those
last week.
like,
Yeah.
what the hell? I'm not saying like the defense can do no wrong. I'm not saying that, but it's one of those like, seriously, you're going to be like, now you're concerned over this.
Right.
Blows my mind. But yeah, so we have to wait next week, so we'll see what happens. And it's yeah, the defense, and I just want to reiterate, they saying they did not pay a bill, they did not pay it, so we'll see on that. So
Yeah,
on,
so and they were talking about if they come to find out that some sort of government actually paid the bill, and it really wasn't then it would be like Brennan having egg on his face. That's, I mean, again, I get there's an importance to it, and you should take it seriously, but not at how she reacted with it and made a big deal about it. Like, I'm like, oh my God, this is more important than Proctor, or like what the other guy,
Lally,
yeah, and right, and it was just like, wow, it was. I guess we're gonna go there. This is what it's gonna be, type of thing.
okay, hear me on this, Beckham. Tell me what you think. I think this was very strategic and purposeful. I think Hank Brennan knows good and damn well the bill was not paid by the defense, but he's putting it out there. He's putting it out there so that people hear this and they start to question the defense of Karen Read.
Yep, that's possible.
And Judge Bev, who we know has history with Lally, went to school with him, I think she might be trying to, I mean, because again, law enforcement and everything does not look good right now. Not to say that she's a part of that
The whole
corruption,
prosecution
but
from the law enforcement up to the prosecutor's office.
yeah, but she also, like, where the jury is saying that they select jury members have said the judge did not make it clear that we could come back on two of the charges.
Right.
So I think some of it falls to her too, that she
Sure.
did not explain to the jury their instructions as well as they should have.
I
So
agree
again,
with
I
that.
think this is like a, let's just put it out there. And even if it's, like Beckham said, even if it's shown where the defense did nothing wrong, but now you've put that out there. That's what I'm thinking.
And yeah, like I said, he has nothing to pull from, but he found something, and that's where he's gonna go with, and it's almost gonna be justified by the judge and put out there, like you said, right? And because, man, I'm telling you, if this just goes Karen Read's way, it's gonna be a dark mark on a lot of careers on that other side.
I hope.
Karen Read's defense, that their job is to defend her and whatever, right? If they were to lose, it's like, oh well, it's not. I mean, that's our. I mean, it's not like they're going to lose out. It looks really much more worse on the other side, and the judge, because she failed at the early on stage or the last trial to make it clear, and now you've had jurors say so. Yeah, of course.
Yep. So speaking of that, so there's a few things to talk about with Karen Read, but that, Beckham, that's a big one. And we actually, yeah, okay, hold on to that. So I just want to get all of this out there because there's a lot moving in the Karen Read case. So, and I see y'all's comments in the chat, and we will get to that because there's a lot to talk about with that. So also on Tuesday, so Karen Read's defense team sent an appeal of the SJC decision to the U.S. District Court. Remember, they are trying to challenge the retrial, stating double jeopardy because technically 2 of the counts should have been thrown out, but even though they were unanimous, the jury didn't know they could come back on those 2 things. So remember, went to the Massachusetts Judicial Court, and they upheld those charges that she can be retried on that. So now, again, the defense team is taking it up a notch to the U.S. District Court. They asked the federal court to issue a writ of habeas corpus and a document that actually largely repeated previous arguments, including a comparison to the Boston Marathon bombers case. So Karen Read's defense argued that records related to the internal investigation of Trooper Proctor need to be treated as evidence. Dun-dun-dun, no kidding. So, all right. In regards to Karen Read being interviewed, her attorneys being interviewed in the jury. So there's a few things. One, and Beckham, I didn't even get a chance to ask you this week if you watched it. So Turtle Boy did an interview, I think it was earlier this week. He had one of the jurors on his show live, and Turtle Boy asked him a bunch of questions. It was very enlightening. And you can see the juror, and Turtle Boy, like some of the answers the juror was giving, like Turtle Boy was just like you could see the look on his face, like, wait, what? And some of it was very shocking to hear, but also some of it, I thought, even if like you're listening to it, you're like, no, I don't agree or whatnot, it's very enlightening for him, that juror, to walk us through the thought process, what was happening behind the scenes, because we all saw what we saw on TV, but I
saw a lot of the fan.
We sure did see a lot of the fan.
I'm just playing.
Oh no, you're not joking. Hours and hours and hours of that fan. And we're gonna see it again.
Well, people just had fun in the chat, just talking about what just happened. They were just going off in the chat. If you're waiting like 30 minutes for them to come back. The fan would just, but people were in the chat though, so entertaining themselves in the chat
Oh, absolutely. Like
while the
that fan
fan
is
just
like a thing.
ran right. I wonder what mode the fan was on. I'm just like,
no, you're not. But where was I going with this? Okay, yeah, the juror. So I know, everybody's like, people either love or hate Turtle Boy. Watch the interview. Watch the interview. It is really great insight. And the thing with Turtle Boy is he will ask anything. He's not afraid to ask those hard-hitting questions. So, and there were some that, depending on how it was asked, the juror might have reframed it to answer it in a little bit of a different way. I mean, but that happens in every single interview anyway, with no matter who it is, not just with Turtle Boy. But props to Turtle Boy. Again, Turtle Boy, shout out. That was an excellent interview. Solid,
parts of
excellent
it.
interview.
I did catch parts of it. So, what? Just give me one part of it that you really were like blown away by.
Oh God, off the top of my head, the
Yeah,
juror was saying that, like, the jurors were questioning, like, why can't we go forward with the two? I'm just paraphrasing here. I'm not quoting him.
I got
That they were unanimous on those two counts, and it was also the jury foreman was also saying
right.
no, like, no, we cannot go. Like, they wanted to ask clarification from the judge,
That's
and
right.
the jury foreman said no.
But it was earlier on the week, right? So I think I caught some here and there, but it was early in the week. So yeah, you're right. That's kind of what I gathered too. I remember.
Yeah. And that there was also this like sense of like, don't ask questions. And that's part of what the juror process is if you have a question, you go back into the courtroom and explain, where you are with the judge.
Well, you want to get clarity on something.
Certain evidence.
You have to get clarity on something. You got people's lives at stake here. Come on,
but
man.
That's part of it. That's nothing new.
Right.
That's not something where it's only allowed once and then you're on your own. No, if you need clarity, you go back, and it's the judge's responsibility to answer that question, to make it clear. They might not answer it in a way where they're like handing you answer,
but procedural wise or objective wise or whatever, if you're stuck with something, well, maybe, anything like that you have to get clarity. I mean, that's,
Mm-hmm. And they were basically, it was like, no. And the jury foreman was like, absolutely not. So that was shocking. I'm like,
people,
wait, what?
Sometimes you okay. The people that are actually, of course, working the case or in the courtroom, even as maybe even as an administrative assistant, whatever, that's your job. You know all the ins and outs. You know the procedural. If you're a lawyer, you know the law or whatever, right? The judge, she knows she's at the highest level of her career. Now, of their career. Now, you're talking about people from just your neighborhood, right? Your own community that have regular jobs. I mean, they might watch true crime shows. They might, but I mean, they don't know all the ins and outs of procedural of policy and procedural that goes into the court, the actual court. So I think there happens that happens sometimes where you got to remember these are just regular people. They're going to have questions. You should make it clear to them. They're not experts by any means, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like, make sure, I'm pretty sure it's going to be made sure this time around. And if there's any questions, but it had to take a mishap or a sidestep of a mishap to get to this point, which shouldn't have happened, but it did. And that got the person in Turtle Boy interview really put an insight on that. They really did.
Yeah. And even, and during the interview too, there were, I don't want to say a lot because I really want you guys to watch it. It's such a good interview, but it's not that they 100% think, how do I phrase this?
I was going to say something real quick.
No, go ahead, because I'm trying to think how to phrase
people like on social media when there's something big going on. and it's now become a thing, even in sports. They'll be like, "Can someone explain it to me like I'm 5?" And I'm pretty sure with the first person to ever do that, we're like, you're like dumb, whatever. But now everybody does it on anything, whether it
Mm-hmm.
could be a sports call, a sports decision, or actual just anything, right? Any situation. You'll see that comment, and if I don't, and I'll be okay. I kind of feel the same. I'll go in there and read whatever the person types, explaining it like they're 5. You should okay. Red means this, blue means that. How do you feel? Do you feel red or do you feel blue? That's, I mean, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
So that's become a thing on social media when there's something happening. That you always find that comment, and people are being serious. They're like, "Can you explain it to where I can understand what's really happening in this particular situation?" And maybe that needed to. I saw K Dog's comment about some of the jury they're still confused, and I
Yes.
understand that, and maybe they should have been no offense to any, that's what I'm trying to say, no offense to anybody, but they maybe should have explained it a little bit easier, like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
to make it simple to understand. And I've always thought myself as a really good like trainer person, because I've always tried to make something simple to understand. And I'm being honest here, like some people are not good trainers. They could be really smart,
Mm-hmm.
but they're absolutely the worst trainers because they can't explain it correctly or
Right.
make it or simplify it enough for the person to grasp it what they're trying to do. Doesn't mean they're doesn't mean anything on their intelligence. You got really smart
Right.
people, but then there's other people that can break it down a certain way and make the person there's trying to convey or explain or a procedural or policy, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I completely get that. And that's what I'm just trying to say. They
Yeah.
should have made it easier to understand or
Yeah.
explain
Well,
it
I mean,
better.
that simple concept even goes with like even with dance, like me being in
Yeah,
different choreographers' pieces, like there are some just the way they teach, it's like so on point and it's so easy to follow and it
sure.
flows.
Right.
And there's some choreographers, it's like, what the hell? What are you talking about? Like, what do you mean do this? That makes
Yeah,
no sense.
right.
Anyway,
No,
I just
I
want
get it. I understand. Yeah.
yeah. No, I just wanted to add this little story. So when I first started it was a god earlier on in my career and again working for the state and had to my boss at the time I will never forget this moment. Like I had God, how many clients did I have at that time? I think it was like 80 or 90 families of clients that I was working with. And I had to write, I forget what the letter was about at this point, but it was a letter to all of the clients addressing X, Y, and Z. And I do up the letter and I'm like, all right, this is what I'll be sending out. And I hand it to my boss and she looks it over and she's like, this is like written flawlessly, excellent. You can really tell how college educated you are. And she handed it back and goes, redo it. And I'm like, what? She's like, the clientele we work with will not understand a word of that.
Yeah.
Write it for
Yeah.
somebody. She's like,
Yeah.
think in your mind this person never made it
I
past
do that all
middle
the time
school.
too.
That is
Sometimes.
what
Yeah.
you write. And it still stuck to me because it's like you have to present it in a way where
To your
it just
audience, it's like your
for your
audience, right? Yeah.
audience.
Yes. That's yep.
Mhm. Yeah, I
That's
was
a
just like,
really big deal, man, and this
I
is a
still
really big
remember that. And
deal.
she just gave it, she just handed it and goes, rewrite it. And I'm like, what? But anyway,
Yeah,
hey,
I mean, this case
Brian,
would have been resolved
again.
had it explained been explained correctly.
Yes.
We would have had it resolved. Well, I mean, I'm not gonna say which way they would have gone, but at least it would have been. We wouldn't be sitting here still
2
talking about
charges
it,
would have been done,
right? Yeah, I
and
don't.
then
Yeah,
it would have been up to the state. Are we gonna bring her back on that one?
right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just okay. I know what I was gonna say. The juror had made the statement in regards to it was yeah, there were, they didn't somebody had to be on trial for the murder or for the death, I should say, of John O'Keefe. And yes, there were all these other people in the house, but ultimately they chose to bring Karen Reed. So that's what they were there for, is someone had to be on the line for it. So she was there. The juror did way better in explaining it than I just did. The way he worded it, it was just like, wow. Like it was, yeah. Please, everybody, do yourself a favor and watch that Turtle Boy interview. There's another interview that we're going to talk about, the Karen Reed interview that she did with Alan Jackson. But before we get to that, there's just, I just want to make sure we catch up on the chat. Capone says Ninja Intruders sneaked in there. Oh, in regards to the Idaho. Yeah. Oh, Jesus. K-Dog, I believe this judge is either too biased or incompetent. There was state evidence that should have been thrown out in the first trial. Yeah. I love the tension between Danny and Beckham. Tension? Interesting word choice, but K-Dog, I support Beckham's toxic masculinity. That's amazing. I think that's my favorite comment of the night. Danny and Beckham make a great team, but can butt heads real quick. Yeah.
Faster than you can pull out your 6-shooter.
K-Dog, I love how the only problem is Beckham's giving it everything he's got, and Danny's fighting with one hand behind her back. K-Dog, it's called strategy. It's called strategy. It's strategy. I can't even say it right.
What is that for? What was that towards? Kohlberger?
No, I think it was me and you bickering at each other.
Oh.
Which is an everyday thing. I must have not paid attention to the name Karen Reed in the last several years. This is all new to me. Or you just haven't paid attention to any of my deals that we've done with Peckham, because we've been talking about this for a long time, hon. All right, Tony. But
that's the only reason what's his name comes into the show anyway, to hear about the Karen Reed updates. What's his name? He's not here tonight.
Russell, James Watson.
James Watson.
Yeah, where the hell is James Watson?
It's the only reason he comes here to get the Karen Reed update.
If he's not in the chat, my next show, we're gonna. Even though he's in Canada, we need to do the equivalent of what's it called? Oh God, what's it called when you a welfare check?
Welfare, yeah.
Hey, Dan. Yeah, K-Dog, 100%. And that's a problem. And that strictly goes on Judge Bev, because it's not the attorneys that need to say, here's what you do when you're deliberating. It's the judge. Nice. Brian, welcome, hun. You're talking way above their heads. Oh, yeah, like what Beckham was saying and yeah. Because I went to U of M, I'm never selected for a jury trial. The prosecution dismisses me in the selection pool.
Yeah, me same here. I'm not going to get picked ever.
Yeah, I get turned away because, yeah.
They should have put you on the Karen Reed trial. That would have been amazing.
I argued with a judge when I was younger, and it didn't. Yeah. So he made me go. Yeah. I still stand by that. I was right. I assume this is an elected judge. I don't know offhand. I don't know offhand. I should know that, though. Campbell Assisted Productions. Thank you. No, bet you are fashionably on time. Zach will be here again. I talked about it earlier in the episode. Zach will be here back live on Tuesday. He just put out a brand new book and will be here to discuss it with y'all. Again, that will be live this coming Tuesday night. So make sure to check that out. Courteous restraint. Judge was biased in Casey Anthony trial and jury rebuked him in the verdict. He still made her serve time on minor charges, even though she was acquitted on murder and manslaughter. Yeah, that's a whole thing in itself. Capone. I mean, that's a very good question. OJ wasn't even charged with lesser included. Oh, God. That trial. All right. So I think I worked my way through y'all's comments, but the last thing of the night. So Karen Reed's interview with Alan Jackson. So Beckham, did you watch the whole thing?
Some of it. No, not the whole thing. Most of it, though.
Okay. It's an hour and a half. And we'll talk about let's each talk about what our takeaways were from that. Beckham mentioned earlier that it seemed like Jackson probably coached Karen. I'm sure they had a conversation of like, here's what, make sure you don't say this or whatnot.
Yeah.
Karen to me was very, very well put together, very articulate, very clear, understood a lot, even from a law perspective. Like she was very engaging in the conversation and didn't just defer to Alan Jackson to answer those questions. She answered a lot of them, and I was stunned. In regards to, like Becca mentioned earlier, the amount of debt that she's in from these attorneys, she did mention that she's had to sell her home, kind of liquidate all her assets. Like, when you save in regards to 401ks and all that, she's had to deplete everything. She has sold everything.
But
Sorry, go ahead.
But on the flip side, you could tell. Oh, I mean, she was definitely confident, and you can tell on the flip side, her thought I could just tell from her thought process that she doesn't have a lot right now, and when she's found out guilty and whatever, all the book deals and the TV deals and all that will really be worth what do you call it? Worth the wait.
She'll cash in on this, yeah, but for the better. Like my experience, like a book author, my experience.
Oh,
yeah. She also mentioned a lot of donations. I mean, there's been so many different people doing donations for her.
Mm-hmm.
Turtle Boy, Auntie Deb over on his channel, he's been doing a lot for that too. There's so many content creators that have been doing fundraisers for her. And she even said in her interview that even like a lot of former coworkers have donated a lot to her as well. And I think that says a lot. People aren't just, from her past kind of dismissed and walking away. Like, no, they're fighting for her innocence too and donating to help that be proven in court. Another takeaway was, one, David Yannetti wasn't there, and that made me really sad. But Jackson, in regards to this case, like he doesn't hold back of like, he's been practicing for over 30 years as an attorney. Granted, he's based out of, in California, but he's like, I've never seen like so much of what's happening here in this trial. He's like blown away. And then again, I think a lot of us who are just watching this are in the same boat as him. Like, what the hell is happening? He learned 1 hour before final statements that there was other evidence that the state never turned over to the defense. And he does not get into specifics as to what that was. Karen Reed says because it was, and I'm totally going to butcher this word, exculpatory evidence. We will find out more in the second trial, but he was just like, my whole strategy, like everything. Why was this not presented to us? Why were they withholding this? And now we just learn about it an hour before we're closing the case. In regards to who the interviewer asked, who killed John O'Keefe? Karen and Alan don't necessarily say a specific person. Obviously, it's more of somebody who was in that house. But in regards to who, they don't cite a specific person. The last thing that I found that might take away from this was that Alan Jackson was saying, and he said it, I forget exactly what he said, but it was so spot on in regards to the state and the prosecutors just want Trooper Proctor to go away. Like, let's just, cover it up with like, some whiteout or something and just pretend it never existed.
Yeah.
But Alan Jackson made it clear the defense will be calling Trooper Proctor for round 2.
They're doing that on purpose. They're gonna just smear him, just smear it even more. Like, it's not gonna be a beautiful painting. It's gonna be a smear job expected to look like art.
I don't think they expect it to look like art. Becca, you are being way too nice. So those were my takeaways. At Beckham, I saw you kind of nodding your head for some of them. That I think you might have had some of those as your takeaways.
Oh,
too.
Yeah. Of
go
course,
ahead.
Karen Reed is educated. She was a professor. She's gonna be well spoken. It's her life is on the line. I'm pretty sure she's picked up a lot of what's going on in her own, in the defense of her. Um, yeah, she talked about the thing about the money, but I think again she's really confident, and then at the end it's gonna be, was it like, what's the saying? Was the juice worth the squeeze? So we'll see, or something like that.
Oh.
Anyway, so yeah, I mean, and she looked, they're gonna be prepared again. She has a great team,
Mm,
put together. Um, and it's almost like they're family now, and like they protect themselves like family. So it was a good interview. She's very well spoken, and I think a lot of people are going to watch the interview, even if even if this whole mess with unpaid bills or whatever it's going to try to diminish anything that they try to do. Like I'm telling you, they're gonna make smearing on the wall art and artwork out of Proctor. So just be ready for that. Yeah, it's gonna forget the unpaid bill, forget the bill. This is gonna be art. What they
mhm.
do to Proctor this time around.
Yeah, because the prosecution, when they agreed, or not agreed, when they stated that they were going to retry Karen,
Yeah,
and they took on Hank Brennan, and how now it's gonna. They've been saying like there's gonna be a whole like all these new um experts that they're going to have on the stand, to testify for the state on behalf of the state and all that. And it's like, so basically, you're going to put a bunch of, yes, maybe other officers or whatnot on the stand to testify about a case that they didn't work or have a hand in, versus calling the ones who actually did. But then you have the defense saying, "Oh, no, 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 we're putting that lead back on the stands." Like, you
I
want
mean
to
they.
just go,
Yeah.
oof,
You
oof.
want to talk about an unpaid bill? We're gonna really smear your complete investigation, like your incompetence of an investigation and every of case and everything. Yeah,
Mhm.
so they're gonna. I'm telling you, man, they're gonna they have the up on this time around. The strategy is gonna be probably the same, and then they're just gonna prove it again. So and apparently, our own very James Watson was definitely giving her some attention, maybe even giving her some money on the side. I don't know. We'll see. That's what they're saying in the chat.
I did getting about 100 letters a week from James Watson. I mean, you know what?
Hey, support any way you can get it.
And that's what's also is being said of the Luigi Mangione Fund. No, just kidding.
That's yes, that's exactly right.
God, I can't even with that. But yeah, that interview. So again, it's about an hour and a half. It's on YouTube. I think it's the 2020 interview, I want to say. But if you just type in Karen Reed interview with Alan Jackson, it's going to
Wow, you
come
have to
right
watch
up.
the whole thing. Just get a grasp of her talking, and you feel her emotion, and feel that confidence, and feel that her ability to even defend herself in a sense. She's
Hmm.
defending herself, right? She was
Yeah.
very adequate and very forthtelling.
And actually, okay, so I will go back to where y'all are in the chat. So Capone, remember when Danny thought Karen was guilty? So I will say to that, and one of the things that she says in the interview is all this information about Proctor and all of these things that were happening kind of behind the scenes that we as the public didn't know until the trial, and I get it, it's not our right to know beforehand. Like, Karen Reed was like, I knew this all along. All 3 years, I knew all of this. And it finally just came out this year or last year in court. And I will say, yes, I know that Boston has a long history of police corruption. I do. I'm not oblivious to that. With this case, based on what we saw and what we heard, I did think a certain way. And I thought her demeanor outside of the courtroom, again, before the trial started, and kind of even as it just kind of started to begin. And I'm like, why is she like her facial reactions? I'm like, it just doesn't match somebody who's on trial for their life here. And, in these circumstances, and oh my God, a police officer lost his life. And when the trial started, and I'm thinking, you know, and the state was like, we got the evidence, wait for it. And I'm like, okay. I'm waiting. And it never got to it. And by the end of it, I'm like, oh my God. So yeah, no, I totally
Well,
miss Red.
you will, right. And as kids, we're taught, little kids, we're taught to, hey, the police are the good guys, do right, this is right, this is wrong, this is what all that kind of thing, right? Um, my introduction to police corruption was actually the movie Mississippi Burning. For the older
Mm,
crowd, they probably know the movie. The FBI had to come in because the local law enforcement were, actually murdered people and were corrupt. So it was a true story in the 60s. The FBI had to come in and clean the house and make everything right. That was pretty much the thing, right? And I think I watched that movie as a teenager, so I kind of was a little bit older. That was my introduction where it was like, wow, police could be the bad guys here. But it was still kind of foggy. And just today, just this week too, an entire police department and Alabama has been indicted on corruption charges, and they've been wiped out completely. And again, the FBI is having to go into that town and reestablish itself as and get the law back. I don't know what they're going to do as far as that goes, but the entire police department does no longer exist as of this week. They've gotten rid of everybody. That's a true story that happened this week. Um, and you got 1,000 FBI agents headed to the state of Alabama for other various things. But yeah, and it still happens today. And you don't want to believe it, but yeah, police corruption is a thing still in these days. Just with like any form of crime, money is gonna corruption, whatever. It exists. I understand that your state, even back to the mob and stuff, right? I mean,
yeah.
it goes back decades. You guys do have a history of it, but it's not surprising to me. The surprising to me was the proctors and their inability to do his job right. But that's a whole we've almost beat that horse. But anyway.
Yeah. It's just one of those like I remember when I went to the courthouse that one day I went and stood outside because I'm like, I want to see this for myself. I want to be here and see this for myself. And I met Turtle Boy when I was there. He was outside as well. And he was amazing to talk to, by the way. Just very nice, very nice. And we were talking about kind of, Karen Reed. And and I look back and I'm like so innocently thinking, like, I'm waiting to hear everything. I want to hear everything, both sides, and then see. And it's like I flash forward like even a week or two later, and it's like, oh my God, like this is insane. Because it's like, okay, I think the day I went and stood outside was when Chris Albert, the son, was on the stand. He was on the stand that day. And oh God, that was like he was just attitude galore. But that was before Proctor took the stand. So, and we didn't hear a ton of like how law enforcement who handled the case, like that was before the red Solo cups in the paper bag. So it was
Yeah.
just
And then the ATF guy, I always forget his
God, it was
name.
like one
Right.
after another, and it's like, what the hell?
What, like, yeah, like, yeah, right. You started to question it. Like, was it really that bad incompetence, or was there something behind it? Was there a motive,
Yeah.
or, right? So, and again, it's unfortunate that we can't flip the switch and put these people on trial, but, I get it. But I mean, you know what I mean? But because I just think there's something very, very odd in this case, that the
Mm,
right person actually might be is the one on trial. But
right.
what
I
can we do?
100% agree with that.
What can we do, right? So yeah,
Yeah. Let's see what you guys have to.
somebody committed murder,
Yeah. And
or
I don't think
multiple
that
people committed murder.
we'll never know who.
We'll never know for sure. And that's sad.
Um,
That's sad for the guy.
yeah, K Dog is saying in regards to Karen Reed, she's highly educated. Yes. David says Casey had excellent attorneys and also avoided testifying in cross examination like
I know
OJ,
nothing
who
about
also.
that case. I just remember seeing her picture on Yahoo,
Oh,
and it's
yeah.
like, wow.
Mm. You were like, wow, what, Beckham? You want to finish that sentence? Oh, Beckham. Oh, my thing just my comments just jumped back to the like earlier, and I was like, what the heck? What are you guys talking
Capone,
about?
you know what? You're right. And Karen Reed talks about that in the interview. I think she doesn't necessarily say leave. She didn't necessarily say like bite marks. She said body bruises.
Yes, she does. Yep.
And not in the area where you would think that if somebody got hit by a car, it'd be somewhere else completely different.
You're right. She did say that. Let's see. David Ellis.
Good point. Good point, Capone.
Vehicles don't leave bite marks.
You're right. And bruises.
David Ellis says Casey is almost certainly guilty, but the case was not proved. I agree. I agree with that. Good defense attorney stress reasonable doubt. Yes. And her lawyer, Karen's attorneys did do that. So, but as we know, the judge didn't give clear instructions. Oh, Tony Stewart, I'm 100% with you on that. 100%. K-Dog, yes. Worcester, Mass is now a sanctuary state. I did not see the town meeting though, but it has been in the news here that they're a sanctuary state. That plane crash in Canada looks like a Final Destination movie. Oh, I saw.
I would never be. I don't think I'd be able to fly ever again.
Scary times. They're scary, scary times.
Could you fly again after something like that? Living through it?
Well, I have to.
I don't think I could. No, you don't have to go anywhere. I can just drive my car as far as it goes, and if I get too tired of driving, I'll just turn back around and come home and just say I can't make it. Seriously, I wouldn't be able to. I don't think I could fly ever again. Dude, the plane crashed upside down.
I know.
Those people are going to have nightmares for the rest of their lives.
Oh, 100%. I'm not minimizing.
And they're only offering them like $30,000 in cash. Like, dude.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother. I'm sorry. I didn't want to get away from everything else. Sorry.
No, that's okay. David Ellis, remember Nancy Grace crying after Casey verdict. I remember Jodi Arias flipping Nancy Grace the bird in court. That was.
I'm gonna get me a cigar. I don't really smoke, but I'm gonna get me a cigar for this case when they announce I'm either gonna light it or not light it. It's gonna just sit there in the box or in the thing or not, or it's gonna get lit.
God. Yeah. So Karen Reed's retrial is supposed to start April 1st. So that is so soon. So soon. Let's see. David saying Marsha Clark should have dropped OJ case citing poisoned evidence and avoided defeat. Mark Fearman was on trial, not OJ.
What did you watch the Netflix thing on OJ or not? You don't. It's really, really good, but you learn a lot of little things that you weren't aware. One of the things that you learned is that like she got to OJ's that afternoon or something, and she just happened to see Mark Fuhrman. And maybe she thought he was handsome. I don't know. Something gravitated her towards him. Maybe it was the way he walked. Maybe it was his charisma or whatever. But she gravitated towards him, and he became the expert for her. Like for that in that moment, that day, whatever. So she listened to everything he was saying. She trusted him. And all that, and she trusted the wrong guy. Do you see what I'm saying? Like,
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. That was one of those little quirk thingies that you didn't know about.
Yeah, Fearman had a tainted past and was easy to be set up as a scapegoat. I can't talk. Scapegoat. Hey, Shelly, good to see you. K-Dog. You mean MSDP, Mason Saga Discussion Panel? No, not right now. No. Still on hiatus. Not a lot to report on, honestly. The Tom O'Neill Chaos documentary will be coming out soon, March 7th, I believe. Yeah, that's gonna be.
You won't be watching it either.
Why?
I thought you said you don't watch Netflix stuff. I don't know.
I want to watch this. I want to watch this.
We're gonna do a live.
Because Tom O'Neill is not even supporting. He's not even advertising his own documentary.
We're gonna do we should do a live. Like Star Wars shows those guys do theirs lives, and they get like 1,000 people watching it all at the same time.
Yeah, it's very interesting that you're part of a project, and then the final product is put together, and you're not advertising it coming out. Makes me want to watch it. I'll tell you that. All right, but enough of me being shady. So yeah, that's the True Crime and Chill for tonight, and we will see what next week brings. Again, in regards.
K-Dog, is that a reference to what I was talking about? I'm telling you, man, that's what they said. She got swooped up by him, and he became the expert when he shouldn't have been the expert, and she listened to everything he said. Like, whatever he said was gold, and like, we know the rest of the story.
Unlike Beckham, everything he says is certainly not gold.
Oh my God.
Certainly not.
You didn't like the squeeze juice comment earlier?
No, I did not. Chris James, we should watch it all together. Oh, the Tom O'Neill. Oh God. I would love, no. I would get in a lot of trouble. Because I would add a lot of commentary. David Ellis says Danny is a treasure and loves cats. Thank you, David Ellis.
Hey,
that is very kind.
Now, was K-Dog talking about that Furman didn't have any time to talk? He was planning evidence. Is that what you're talking about?
Oh God. We've been live almost 2 hours. I don't have it in me to do an OJ talk. I just don't.
No.
That's just the whole.
Oh, it's so funny.
All right, so y'all. So next week, Tuesday, author Zach Kopp will be on to discuss his new book. So tune in for that, and then end of next week, True Crime and Chill. So
all right, K-Dog, I just thought it was funny.
Beckham, your humor is always appreciated by most, not me, but by most. So don't overthink it.
I don't know what you're trying to put out there.
Watch party.
Yeah, let's do a watch party. Everybody go get your favorite beverage, some popcorn. We can just sit back and be like, what? See, I
wouldn't get in trouble if I said what. It's yeah. All right, everybody. Everybody have a great night, great rest of your weekend. Thank you for joining us tonight. And Beckham, thank you always for being here as well for the True Crime and Chill.
It's always better to be into the dark than the light, or however you say it, Danny. I don't even know what you're in the light, but you're wearing the dark tonight.
Is that what my saying is?
I don't know what your saying is.
It's on one of the things you purchased.
That's right. I do have a cup somewhere.
But Shelly, I don't know how you do it.
She's laughing at me. That sounds funny.
So the saying as we end for tonight, we don't live in darkness. Darkness lives in us. Get it right, Beckham. Bye, everyone.